Yeah.
We're just doing that for like 3 hours, just cracking up, fucking like, dude, fucking.
Good evening. My name is Alice. Welcome to Jared to Jared. On this week's episode, the Jareds will discuss Jacques Lacan's Object of Desire, the void in human existence, Kintsugi, the offering, and much, much more. Has it started already?
Jacques Lacan's theory on objects that we can't obtain that drive our desire.
Yeah, I like that.
It's such a cool fucking concept. And and essentially what he concludes is the objet petit represents that there's something lacking in human existence.
Hey, okay.
And that's why desire, that's the root cause of desire. And why we desire these things, right? And the objet petit is the object that we latch onto. It could be a job. It could be a person.
Yeah.
It could be, whatever, the unattainable, right?
Yeah.
And then we get fragmented by this object, of course.
Yeah.
And then we fantasize about the object via dreams, the dreamscape, right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, we use this object to try to replace whatever is missing in human existence. And then that drives our subconscious, which then, of course, engages the conscious and dictates our decision making in our life, But of course, it's always unattainable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's something we can fantasize about to fulfill that need, that void of human existence, right?
Yeah, which is so accurate because everyone has it, It's
right.
Oh, why can't I just fucking, whatever it is? You get the, that unattainable, tantalizing thing. I think we love it though. It's like I think there's something there, like we love the drama of not having the thing because we could also just let go of the desire and attachment for that thing and then be at peace.
Sure.
Or go get it, unless it is that unattainable. I mean, if it's more money, it's like, there's ways to get more money. If it's sex, there's ways to go get sex, it's just like,
right.
Just go do it then, either fulfill it by doing it or dissolve the desire for it so that you can have your peace, Yeah. But what does he say? I mean, or in your own thoughts, okay, fine. We've identified this like issue, or just this like quirk in like the human framework. What do we do about it? Or is he just identifying it like, yeah, that sucks. So we're going to suffer and feel like we inevitably haven't attained something.
In the chapter that I read, it was just the diagnoses. And, I tried Googling before the pod, what was his prescription? Like what?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The conclusion. So maybe that's something we could read into further. I wish I could conclude on his thoughts on what it was. Yeah. I know he does the cool graph of consciousness and subconscious.
Yeah.
And how they connect, right? He actually has a freaking graph. And on the axis is the objet petit, right? What is your object of desire? That's one of the access points, right? But of course, there's like 4 or 5. So I'd love to do more research into him. Jesse, what was his last name?
Constantino or
Constantino. Aliman.
Yeah.
Dr. Aliman. He was a Lacanian. Dude would always bring up really cool freaking Lacanian concepts. As it pertained to modern American literature, Western literature, stuff like that. So I don't know. That being said, what are my own thoughts on it, right? As Dr. Valdez here, or just as a Jared to Jared. In the Jared verse, is it escapable? That's my initial thought was, is it escapable? Are we always trying to create a scenario of the unattainable? Now, you brought up an interesting concept. Okay, let's let go of the object, right?
Yeah.
Of desire.
Then it has no power.
But then does that then transfer to the object of desire, which then becomes letting go? And then that's unattainable because then you can't let go of everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Letting go of everything would actually be jumping off the Taos Gorge and, arguably killing yourself essentially. Or the Hunger Artist, some version of that, Kafka-esque.
Yeah, I love that story. Yeah.
The reality, right?
Yeah.
So is it escapable? That's one question I want to pose to you. I think that it is actually, right? So constantly self-identifying with the yin and the yang in this sort of middle ground, right? Never going too far in the direction of desire, never giving up totally on healthy desires, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, I think it comes out to potential outcomes and your present, right? You want to have a healthy present, as in the present moment,
Yeah.
Which then would result in what? A healthy history, a healthy past.
Yeah.
So I think is it escapable? I think yes, right? And then your second question is, though, in order to escape, what is the void in human existence? What is the lack that we so fantasize about, right?
Right.
And I think if we can identify what right now, Jared to Jared in this podcast, what human existence lacks, why we're always trying to desire more than just being,
right?
Then we might be able to discover happiness, right? Finally connect the subconscious with the unconscious in healthy harmony.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think this connects. Yeah. You said discover happiness. And I'm thinking about the Hamlet. Yeah. It's the Hamlet episode where the question was, why is happiness unattractive? Which blew my mind. I'm still not done thinking about that.
I know. We need to have a whole pod on that. I just
so
don't.
Good.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Yeah. But this ties into that. And I think what the issue here is one of duality, separation versus non-duality and unity. I think that's what we're actually craving.
Fragmentation, right? Lacan. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Wait, what's the word?
Fragmentation.
Fragmentation. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Fragmentation. I think what we actually want to do is stitch the fragmented pieces back together. Right.
Ooh, yeah.
I think it's through a sense of, or what we're actually seeking out is we feel ourselves separate. We feel ourselves separate from the rest of the world. The universe is this big, terrifying thing. And because I'm separate, I'm small, I'm ineffective, I'm at risk. It's dangerous out there, all of that kind of stuff. So then we seek out connection, unity, safety, security, go back to the womb, that sort of thing. Right. And we all have different ways of doing that,
Yeah.
Relationship and sex is a big one. That's a big one. People get very, very, very caught up in that. Something about our culture too, just like for some reason it tells us that it's like, that's the thing, And you could go into Foucault with that. He talks about that shit, the heterotopia, where it's just like, why is like the nuclear family so seemingly significant, and even that's starting to break down, or not starting to, it is breaking down. So I think it's this drive towards unity, but then we're trying all these external means to get there. We're trying to use sex and relationship. We're trying to use drugs. We're trying to use all these things in order to get back to that sense of unity. However,
Kintsugi is the Japanese.
However, I think we got to look inwards to do it. I think it's we go inside ourselves. I mean, like, I feel like I've seen in myself ways in which, like, I had some sort of like craving or desire or obsession. And then it turned out that that craving or desire or obsession was just a thing that was me trying to maybe legitimize myself in the universe.
Right.
You know,
right.
And then it turned out, wait, I'm already a child of the universe. I'm not separate. You know, you can't fall out of the universe. I mean, I don't know if this is true or not, but in deep meditation, had an experience where it was just like, I guess you could call it like an experience of oneness or something, where it was just what felt like a deep realization that you cannot fall out of the universe. You could die, right? You could die. And it's almost like physics. It's like energy can only be transformed, right? It doesn't just go away. You know, it's just constantly being transformed. States of matter, phases of matter are constantly being transformed. It's always in a state of flux, but it's not disappearing. You know, it's always changing, but it's not disappearing. And it's like, oh, well, if that's the case, I don't actually die. I can't leave. I can't leave the universe. It's the stardust thing. You know, we're all just stardust particles
right.
reformed as human beings. And then we're going to deform back into stardust once more, you know?
Right.
And it's like, so what's the issue? You know, if you can see that and know that and feel it as true in your heart, what's the issue? You know, and that's why you get these guys who are like really highly attained spiritual practitioners who, like, someone can literally hold a gun to their head and they don't care.
Right.
They're okay with it, not because they're suicidal, but because they're just so at peace with it, at peace with themselves, at peace with the universe, at peace with death. Yeah, chop my head off, you know? And these are historical stories where you'd have Japanese Zen guys who are getting their heads chopped off. Or even more recent, in China invaded Tibet in 1951, right? And we're doing heinous things to these Tibetan monks. I mean, torture, forcing monks and nuns to have sex with each other in the street while they were laughing, and then would shoot them as they're, you know, sexually bound, and like really fucked up, crazy stuff, giving guns to children and forcing the children to kill their parents. Like really, really destructive colonization, you know, really dark. And nonetheless, there's still stories of these Tibetan monks who would spend years and years in these Chinese prisons being tortured daily. And then maybe at some point were liberated or let free or something, and they're giving a talk somewhere. And people would ask, are you angry? You know, or are you bitter? Are you this? Are you that? And these monks would just be like, no, like, it's, if anything, I felt bad for my abuser because I saw how much they were suffering. And it's just like, what the hell? Like that level of insight and compassion. That's just like, no, I was being tortured. It wasn't good. You know, it didn't feel good, obviously, but there wasn't anger. There wasn't aggression. There wasn't a desire for vengeance. It was just seeing the predicament, the karmic predicament, understanding it, and knowing that there is nothing to do about it.
Right.
And then seeing the person who's torturing me and saying, I hope they wake up one day, because they're not happy. You can't be happy if you're torturing someone, you know?
Hey, going back to Hamlet, the Jesus, right?
Yeah. Ultimately, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
End the cycle with forgiveness, you know?
Yeah.
That also made me think of, I think it's called like Kintsugi or kins something like that, Japanese art form, where they take fragmented pieces of pottery.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And then put them back together using gold or silver, right? And making something even more beautiful. The same thing, but now it's different. It's a different aesthetic. Yeah. But it's whole again. Right. And same with this sort of fragmentation that we get with the objects, right? Yeah. With the, you know, this episode will be filled with me and my terrible French and Japanese freaking pronunciations, right? Back to the Lacanian theory. If we give up on that constant drive for desire, Ethan Hawke freaking wandering the streets of Manhattan, just that drive, Macbeth, the drive for power.
Yeah.
That, because what was Macbeth's objet petit was essentially becoming king.
Yeah.
But was it? It was a multiple thing, right? It was objects. Yes, king. Yes, power, but also love. Lady Macbeth's, her desire are also, what about this? Somebody wake Lacan up from the dead. Freaking, what about not only our desires, objet petit, but also our need to be an objet petit, to become an object of desire.
Yeah. Which is another way of trying to wield power, right?
Oh, yes.
Right. Because it's like, if I'm, and hey, that's another route. I mean, I think that's one that a lot of young women get caught up in, is the I'm going to be an object of desire, and that gives me a sense of I'm receiving attention, I'm receiving whatever attention, and there's a sense of power in there,
Right.
And then as a lot of women age, they freak out because they lose their youthfulness and receive less of that attention, and then they're left with, oh wow, okay, well, what do I do now? And hopefully, people just open up to aging and change and step into new archetypes and new ways of being and all of that. And that's the thing too. It's like change, it's like, I think I'm going to say it wrong, but objet petit, whatever.
Yeah, let's go with it. Yeah.
That you're looking for something fixed. You're looking for something stable, with that thing, with that desire, with the unattainable. And the reason it's unattainable is because nothing's fixed. Everything changes, So it's okay. I found this moment of perfection, and we all have those moments here and there. I was listening to Gypsy by Fleetwood Mac, and it's just Stevie Nicks being like terribly nostalgic for an earlier time in her life. It's a beautiful song though. And and it changes. It's like, sorry, Stevie, you could sing all you want, but that period of your life is over. I have my over romanticized periods in my life that they're over, and that's okay.
Sure.
And you just keep moving, you just keep flowing with the unfolding of life, oneness. That's what it is. I mean, that's really what that means. You're not holding on to anything, but if you're holding on to your youthful attraction, if you're holding on to being an object of desire, if you're holding on to an object of desire, you're fucked. It's like, you're screwed. Like, that's just part of the game, and that's not to say to enjoy desire and enjoy love and enjoy all that stuff, but we hold on to it loosely. We play it loosely, because it is going to change. And the tighter we hold on to it, the more it's going to hurt ultimately. And then your pleasure becomes pain. And now instead of being in that wonderful moment in your life, now you're just longing for it.
Right.
Nostalgia, which we had that conversation about nostalgia, which actually means pain. Like, the root of nostalgia, it literally means our pain.
Wow.
Like nostra, our, and then algia or something like that in Latin means pain. And I was like, I fucking knew it, dude.
That's incredible. Wow.
Yeah. I was like, nostalgia hurts me. And then I looked it up, and sure enough, the word means, our pain. And it's like, there you go. There it is. And it's the pain of the object petit. It's the pain of that desire that cannot be manifested. Oh God, if I only had that once more, if I could just get back to that. And it's like, you can't. You can't. But what you can get to is the present right now. Listen to the birds outside, feel the sun on your face, whatever it is. That's real, And if you can fill that hole, this isn't the right language, but if you can fill that hole with something as small as the tweeting of a bird, it's that joy is so much more accessible, If I need, in order to feel good, if I need, I don't know, to be like doing cocaine at 3 a.m. with like this beautiful woman, if that's what I need in order to like feel good and feel there, that's a difficult one. That's a difficult one. You know, it's maybe it will be difficult to manifest, or, you know, the moment you get it, then it's gone, you know, all that kind of stuff. There's the hangover, all this kind of stuff. If that's what I need, it's not going to be a fun game. If all I need to feel okay is the sound of a bird, what's the issue? I'm good, you know?
Right.
Yeah,
exactly. It's finding out basically the small things in life, you know, to put it simply,
the smallest.
The fragments, right? Finding love for the fragments.
Yeah.
And then putting them back together, right? Kintsugi style, freaking with gold and silver, of these more pure thoughts and intentions and love. Yeah. Making a new base of yourself. Yeah. Back to Foucault, turning yourself into a work of art.
Exactly, bro. You're the work of art. Dude, every time you mention the Kintsugi thing, I keep thinking, like, I don't watch anime really, but I was hanging out with a friend last night. We were just like watching Netflix and just like put on this random ass anime came on, and it's all in Japanese, dude. We were just because dude, anime is so funny. Freaking yeah. We're just doing that for like 3 hours, just cracking up, fucking like, dude, fucking Kintsugi. You know, and it's just like, shit. I got that shit from you because this anime comes on. I remembered you doing that, so I did it, and then my friend starts fucking dying laughing. We're just so good.
Which is funny that you bring that up. Side story questing here, dude. Had the most fun in the world. Like, speaking of like nostalgia and like Thousand Mile Stare, me and Dolly went into the manga cafe the other day.
Oh, cool.
And next to the manga cafe at the mall is a magic store, like WizKid store, you know, a bunch of people playing magic in there. And I was like, man, told Josh and Jeff, we need to do this. So we did it, you know, on Sunday. We did it, dude. We ended up spending 7 hours at the mall.
Oh, nice.
Just like hanging out, bought packs. A couple other friends showed up. Ian, we got the drummer back. Like,
oh, that's hilarious.
Oh, dude, we closed them all out, went out the back door. It was like some Bing John Malkovich shit, walking through hallways in the back of the mall, you know, and just like this weird, different reality. Dude, honestly, this pod freaking saves, hopefully not just us with mental health issues, but, you know, like, finding the beauty in these small things. Like, I was so worried this past fall about the larger picture, you know, live a great life, man. And like have done a lot of good things and freaking, you know, it's just, there's a lot of fun. How could you find out there'd be so much fun in playing freaking Magic with your friends, you know, in your mid 30s, like at the mall, you know, just the village, you know, the magical village is what it is, you know, and I think that's part of the process too, of giving up on these pitiless sort of desires, you know, and just empty desires, right? That ether, the American ether too, you know, going back a few episodes as well, you know, got to give up on that and stop thinking that the void in human existence is money, is power, is sex, is desires in another person, all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Maybe the void in existence is you constantly going for these things that are empty, and you can simply fill that void by giving up on these things and replacing them with something more healthy, like seeking community, seeking out a healthy relationship with someone that cares about you care about, you know, etc. The list goes on, right? It's about finding fundamentals and letting go of the secular things in this world. Hashtag Jesus, you know.
Yes. And hey, the objet petit, does that mean like literally small object?
I think so. Yeah. Small object, a little object, essentially. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what's funny too. Like there is something like kind of tongue in cheek. Like I could imagine Lacan sort of like laughing to himself about that because it's literally the small object.
Right.
It's like, it's not a big deal, bro. Like whatever it is.
It's like we think it's the petite huge object, right?
Exactly. Right. We think it's huge. We think it's, oh my God, this, that, and then it's like, Lacan's like, no, it's actually very small.
Yes.
And he realized that too, it's like, actually, yeah, he's right. You think there's like a sexual innuendo there? You think he's making a joke about like the,
sure.
I don't know, like a dick thing, like, the small object and then just like sexually, it's like the object's going to like fill or fulfill something,
Sure.
Like all those old French guys were always like pretty.
Absolutely. Well, especially Lacan, because he was a firm follower of Freud. Okay. He was a devout Freudian. So, a lot of his work, obviously, the penis, the phallus,
Yeah. So it's totally tongue in cheek, right? I mean, it's the small object that we're obsessed with,
Right. Totally.
Yeah.
And giving up on that, okay. So something a little personal here on the J to J pod, keeping it in pod mode though.
Yeah.
My time in agnosticism has come to an end. I'm back in the spirituality, baby. I'm back.
Hey, he's back. Yeah.
He's back. Brother Valdez is back, man.
Hey, Jesus.
I'm telling you, hey, Jesus is celebrating right now. I'm telling you, I'm getting back into Peter's gates.
Wow, he's back. All right.
Heaven's gates, I don't know. I had this really euphoric, like, come into Jesus moment last night, too.
That happens sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, or the Buddha, whatever it is,
Yeah, sure.
I think there is a void when you're devout of any sort of faith in anything, right? Because even if this higher power, so to speak, is of human creation, well, it's a beautiful human creation, and it would be a loss not to believe in something, right?
Sure.
Not to have sort of a guide, reminders of the good and the bad and the, love, etc. I'm back in. Hey,
all right.
We're joining the monastery, man. Benedicto to Benedicto.
Galacticism, baby. Yeah.
Galacticism. Yeah. Full galactic brother. I was baptized in the galactic light last night.
And right now it's, I guess in the shape of agnosticism, it's just general belief in a higher power, something like that. Or is it more specific?
Or should I say atheism? Atheism.
No, atheism's believing God does.
That's what I meant. I'm no longer an atheist.
I see.
I have left the atheist church.
Right? Oh, okay. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. I'm back on the spiritual train. I'm back
on Jesus.
Yeah. I'm back on Jesus. Jared to Jesus. It's back on. Because I think there is some good to meditation. Right. Sure. You've been doing that. You're a living proof of that. Prayer, all this stuff, Candace and all them, they're living proofs of that,
Sure.
Keeps a good feeling inside. I'm not going to say going crazy, cultist on this or I can't remember the guy me and Zay always say that went to the Aborigines and they murdered him, trying to for Jesus.
Yeah.
Anyways, full silence. But hey, man, me and you, essentially, once Dolly goes to college, we're moving to Italy. We're going to join the Vatican. So.
I already signed the papers, man.
Oh, dude. Yeah. You can get me in then. That's good. Get me in.
Oh, yeah. Hey, man, that's cool. Yeah. I mean, that's fine. It's I think, my own life spirituality has been helpful and healthy. And we were talking the other week, Nosferatu, whether it's like, is it real in that like tangible sense? And my take on that was like, who cares? And yeah, who cares? If it's real, great. If it's not real, and then next week you're like, fuck it, I'm atheist. All right, fine, whatever. That's cool too.
Right.
Or hey, I'm atheist, but I like to meditate, which is also real. I mean, I definitely know pretty atheistic guys who are doing Buddhist practice who are just like, it's a practice. It's going to the gym. And that's it. It doesn't have any kind of like higher spiritual purpose to it.
Right.
So
yeah, exactly. I don't know, man. I think when you're younger, you're more apt to be fine with atheism. I'm not fine with it anymore. I'm over it. I'm over it. I want back in. I want back into to something,
yeah,
connected more to beliefs, to spirituality. Freaking OJ, my friend, he found his own church, loves it. I was actually dating a girl from that church,
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Freaking, I might do the same. I don't know. We'll see, man. We shall see. Either way, I'm also a scholar and lover of literature. I'm gonna read the freaking Jewish Bible. I'm gonna start reading the Bible again. Jesus,
fascinating. Yeah,
man,
fascinating.
Yeah. Send me some Buddhist texts. You gave me the what's it called? The Tao.
The Tao. The Tao.
Yeah.
Tao's beautiful.
Which I read. That's great. I'm gonna continue to read that. I'm back in, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and the Tao's great. The Tao is just going in the other direction of what society's asking us to go in. Like sure. I had this dream the other night I want to share that was like pretty profound.
Nice.
In this dream, I'm in like a fitness center, right? And there's a treadmill and then like a hot tub next to the treadmill, right? And on the treadmill, there's this woman and she's running on the treadmill, but she's exhausted, and she looks terrifying, she's naked, running barefoot and just like suffering and sweating and suffering deeply, and she's running on this treadmill. And then there's this couple sitting in the hot tub and they're just heckling this woman on the treadmill. Fuck you, keep running,
Yeah.
Holy shit, I'm like, this is a nightmare. This is crazy.
Jesus, yeah.
You know how like treadmills have those handrails on the side, right? So her legs are about to fall out from under her because she's so exhausted. So she holds on to the handrails and lifts her legs to give them a rest, but then her arms start getting tired and she's shaking and fall onto like, holy shit, And I go up to her and I was like, what are you doing? And she goes, I'm trying to outrun myself.
Ooh.
Whoa. All right. I wake up like, holy fuck, I got some work to do. That's wild. Wild shit. So then I sit and do my meditation thing. And then I visualize the dream. I'm back in the dream, and I go up to her and just again, I'm like, what are you doing? And I'm trying to outrun myself. And I go, why? And she goes, because I don't want to hurt. I don't want to feel the hurt. And if I keep running, I'll keep distracting myself. It hurts, the running hurts. That's painful. But what would be more painful is to stop running, stop distracting myself and just sit with whatever that suffering is rather than trying to avoid it and exhausting myself, as these people in a hot tub are heckling me,
Right.
I was like, what the hell, and then I was able to just sit with that, and it was like, wow, okay, and of course it's a metaphor, of course it's a metaphor.
It's the objet, petit, freaking this, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just running for it
and trying to fill the void of human existence.
Fill the void, exactly. Yes. Because it's like if she were to stop, and I felt her fear so fully, if she were to stop, because think about it, like when you're running, it's lactic acid's going, running's hard, but then it's actually when you stop that, at least for me, that I'll like feel the pain the most or something. Cause now it's like, I'm not like so caught in the moment, breathing really heavy, running, sweating. It's like now I've stopped and my muscles are like, oh fuck, my muscles are sore,
Right.
I could just feel it more, and so she's avoiding that. It's like, what are you avoiding? Pain, suffering, sitting with that suffering, opening to it. It's actually easier to be on that treadmill.
Right.
Because you get to distract yourself from whatever the issue is.
Exactly. Yes.
And it was like, my God. So,
which is so true in a literal sense too. They're like, go work out. My dad always has a good story where this guy goes to the doctor And he tells the doctor, I want to kill myself. I'm suicidal. I just hate my life, this and that. And the doctor tells him, cool, you do it, kill yourself.
Oh, fuck.
He's like, but the best way to do it is by running. He's like, if you don't, investigation, you have a family, all this stuff, best way to do it is run. And he's like, when you're tired, you think you're going to stop, just keep running, man. Just like every day, just run, So he starts doing it, runs the first day, exhaustion, runs, comes back home, passes out, freaking best sleep of his life.
Yeah.
Next day, gets up, runs in the morning, boom, goes to work, gets off, runs, tired, goes to sleep, best sleep of his life, boom. Yeah. Over and over and over again, he starts realizing, 4 or 5 days goes by, 2 weeks go by, and goes and sees the doctor. He's happy.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he's been like, he's like, I don't know what it is, but I don't want to kill myself anymore. Like, what happened, doc? Doc told him exercise. Like, you just needed to run. You needed to exercise and to stop thinking about all this stuff. And like, boom, eventually that dude became like an Olympic runner, whatever, happy life. Wow. Forrest Gump style, married, freaking happily ever after, essentially.
Great. Yeah.
So, but then we can get on a negative sort of train. Well, what was he doing? He was on a treadmill before he went to the doctor, a metaphorical treadmill of constantly running for this little object, right? It was killing him.
Yeah.
What did he need? He needed to replace that with the new object of something that was healthy, right?
Yeah.
To fill what was the void in his existence. Mm-hmm. Guy wasn't getting any exercise. He needed to be focused on his body himself. And what's running? You're meditating. It's a very internal sort of thing. And then boom, his thoughts were getting clearer, etc. So, Yeah,
exactly. And it's we're all on that treadmill, right?
Right.
I'm just realizing the extent to which I'm on it and processing that, letting go of it. And societally, especially coming back to the Northeast, where it's like the Northeast is, you guys in New Mexico are pretty chill, compared. It's like the Northeast is just everyone's burnt out. They're so burnt out, they don't even know they're burnt out. It's actually like wild, dude. It's like, it's wild. And it's like, and I say that with like, like concern, it's not like, it's like I say that with concern, where I've seen, catch up with people, whatever. And it's like all these guys in my life out here have fucking bags under their eyes constantly. It's just like, oh man, guys, what are you doing? It's like, you need take a break. Jesus Christ. It's traffic, job, wife, kids, all this stuff. And it's like, you need some time, 10 minutes. You need 10 minutes to just go. Right. Get off the treadmill. Shabbat, get off the treadmill, chill for 10 minutes, Don't think about anything. Don't do anything. Don't distract yourself on your phone. Just fucking go lie in the grass and look at the sky, whatever,
Right.
And that's what it is. That's the Tao. I mean, it's pretty simple in that way. I mean, it's literally just getting off the treadmill. It's just going in the opposite direction of where most of our society, grind culture, all that stuff is going. It's like the culture tells us you burn yourself out enough and there's some kind of reward at the end. If you stay on the treadmill long enough, there's some kind of reward. There's not. Get off the treadmill, lay in the grass, look at the sky. That's it.
Right. Right.
But hey, I'm coming back into ambition. I'm feeling like ambition, like percolating or something in me, which is kind of cool. I haven't felt ambition in a while.
Which is good. I'm thinking now too, the beginning of this conversation, maybe it doesn't have to be avoided. Question one is the objet petit avoidable? Maybe it doesn't have to be avoided. What should instead happen is a replacement with something healthy, right? Like we're saying, a healthier outcome. Achieve or what was the word you used for it just now?
I have no
Not
idea.
desire, but
Ambition.
Ambition, right?
Yeah.
Ambition could be a good thing, right? It could be a healthy.
Totally.
Exactly. So it's about, you know, putting in those right pieces to equal happiness and satisfaction, which Jared is always seeking. You know?
There's clean ambition. There's clean ambition.
Yes,
And that's the thing. There's clean ambition. There's dirty ambition, which I think of as like shame-based motivation. It's being on the treadmill, whatever, you don't want to do, but you're forcing yourself to. And then there's clean motivation, which is like, fuck, man, I want to succeed. I was reflecting on what I want to look like when I'm 40, you know? And it's like, I want some fucking success, bro. I don't want to be Benji in fucking Binghamton, you know, of Real Pain, like that movie. It's like, no, dude, I want like some accomplishments, some money, relationship, all that stuff. That's wonderful, wonderful stuff. However, I lost my train of thought.
The coughing.
Oh God! Pause the pod. But wanting ambition, there's part of me that wants to go be a monk, stay in the mountains, and just meditate forever, and that's cool. That's important. That's an important part of my practice. Yes. But it's got to be balanced out too, where I'm like, I want to do that, and also have a strong career, give something back to the community, give something back to the world. Have fucking doctor in my name because that's badass. You know, that's a cool thing. Like all that stuff, and something about like being back in this like home space, you know, sitting in my mom's. I'm like, oh, okay. I like pushed away my ambition for a little bit. You know, I think fear of success, that kind of stuff. And it's like, oh, okay, open back up to that. That's okay. And I actually feel really good. Like I feel way happier when I am pursuing an objet petit, you know?
Right.
Not when it's neurotic and shitty, but when it's like, no, I have a goal, you know, that's cool.
Right.
That's different.
Yeah. Because then what happens is you end up experiencing regret.
Yeah.
And toxic regret is so detrimental to existence, right?
Yeah.
Because what happens is you realize all the time you spent trying to fill a void was spent in the wrong place, right? You were never going to be able to fill that void in the first place. There was actually no water where you were paling water from. It was just imaginary, all in your head. And the fire's blazing. The village is on fire, you know, and you can't put out those flames, you know. Yeah. And I think if we go to the right pool, sort of open these blinders where we're at and just stop this stubbornness, you know, we can get to a point where we actually want to go. We can restore the village. We can put the fire out, you know. Yeah. Because think about it. Yes, the monastery, awesome. Yes, atheism, there's a cool thing to that, you know. But coming back to also what makes things beautiful, like the domestic space, the family, the spiritual space, you know, the kingdom hall, the church, whatever it may be, the temple, you know. I'm even thinking back to when I was a kid going and watching The Incredibles, right, with my parents and my friends and eating popcorn and Twizzlers and all this. Just so much fun, you know, and like that's living. There was nothing void in my life when I experienced those things, right? And I want to be able to live those experiences again and provide them for Dalton, for, you know, people I love, whatever, if I have more kids in the future, etc. Right.
Yes.
Somebody I'm with, a healthy relationship, this and that, because then you're living not out of soul ambition, seeking freaking desire, I need this for something that's unattainable. My precious. That's unattainable. You can't keep the ring, Gollum. Give it up. Right. Yeah.
And the ring is the objet petit, right? I mean, it definitely is.
Yes, exactly. I mean, Frodo didn't even give it up. He kept the ring. If it wasn't for Gollum trying to freaking strangle him, that ring was still been corrupting Middle Earth to this day.
Bite off his fucking finger, like
But what happens though is, oh man, I like this too. Lord of the Rings, so good for the object, because oftentimes these objects of desire, they get killed for us.
Yeah.
And instead of, restarting it up, Frodo being like, screw it, I'm making another one out of the fires of Mordor. Fuck you guys. Make another ring. No, he went and lived with the elves, went back, lived a happy existence, Yeah. I think that happens too in life. And we should be recognized. Oh man, this relationship I've been going for, it just ended and I need to move on. Right.
Yeah.
Or this job, it's over. Like I need to move, and I need to go with the elves now. Yeah. Not gonna boom. Let me have my job back. Let me get back together with you. Let me do this. Let me do that. Yeah. Freaking clean slate, move on, learn from it, and then replace with a healthier ambitions, healthier desires.
Yeah.
So then you find fulfillment,
And that's the thing, bro. It's like expanding the timeline as well. Ooh. We've talked about like, okay, got on the wrong timeline, time to get back on the right timeline, that sort of thing. But what about just expanding the timeline too? Because I'm realizing that some of my own treadmill behavior, call it that, it's like looking for not instant gratification, but a quick fix,
Sure.
I'm going to do this for a year and then I'll be where I want to be or something like that. Right. Where now I'm like, oh no, it's not going to be a year. This is a 7-year long project.
Right. Ocean.
This is a 7-year long
ocean. Right.
Yeah. And like, because if I'm thinking I'm 33 now, if I'm thinking like, okay, when I'm 40, I'd like my life to look like X, Y, and Z. And that's not to be like harsh and tight about it, where it's like, it has to put it in a box. It has to be like that or something like that. No, there's room for openness and play.
Right.
But to have a goal, healthy masculinity, have a goal. What's the project that you're building? What's the house you're building? That sort of thing,
Right.
And it's like a 7-year process, and 7 years is a good amount of time. That's like, there's something sacred about 7. And like you like realizing it's like, okay, if I want to go back to school and do whatever, if I do want to pursue a doctorate of some kind, if I do want to put myself in a position where I have something to offer to a really positive relationship, because we all want that, but then it's like, well, what do you have to offer to it? Because if you don't have anything to offer to it, it's like you can't sit Benji style, mom's basement smoking weed every day. Like and then be like, why am I not finding a healthy relationship? It's like, because you're not offering anything. You have to offer something. I think that's healthy masculinity. We were getting into that a bit before.
Yes.
It's what is your offering? What is your offering? And there's a spiritual aspect to that too. Turning your life into an offering. What are you offering to the community? What are you offering to your family? What are you offering to your friendships? All that kind of stuff. And it's, what are you giving? What are you offering? And like, I'm realizing like, shit, this is going to be a 7-year project, where if I'm really offering what I want to offer, which is some serious education, a profession that feels strong and positive to me, write a couple of books, start making some okay money, which takes time because going to school first and then doing that, whatever, just realizing like, oh, wow, okay, I've got to expand the timeline because this is a bigger project than just like next year I want to be in this ideal position. And it's just like, you can be happy along the way and enjoy the process, but it's like, it's going to be 7 years. It's not going to be like next year, everything's going to be perfect or something.
Right. Yeah. That makes me think too, sort of, back to the Jesus rule, the golden rule, whatever. We treat people the way you want to be treated, but we also receive the gifts that we give too, what are we what are we if we're this present that, or this gift that we're an offering?
Yeah.
Well, then what sort of offerings are we going to receive also? Right. So you build yourself up to be, what you want to receive in the world too. So a lot of desire can be fulfilled by investing in yourself.
Yeah.
And also giving up on so many selfish desires of this, that I need to focus on this and myself and this and do this and that. Hey, how about going out there and helping somebody else out? You're saying, what can I offer? And being single too, things like this can put us in selfish states where we don't have to ever sacrifice or do anything a lot for other people. Right.
Yeah.
And then you become this object that's being offered as something that is selfish. That's, you get the point. Right. So I think it's keeping in mind what you are in the world to not just others, but also the physical world, the earth, how we treat the rivers, all this stuff.
All of that.
The trees, this and our spirituality, right? The other, the galactic world, the galactic earth and universe space, the stardust to which we were.
Yeah.
You're never going to get to a place of happiness, of satisfaction, of arrival. Right.
Yeah.
And, if you want to be like Jude Law, well, you're going to have to make
Jude Law. Yeah. What came to mind was the love you make is equal to the love that you take, Paul McCartney. And it's like, wow. Yeah.
Oh my God. So good. I love that reference. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever seen Have you ever seen the SNL thing where Chris Farley is like interviewing Paul McCartney?
Yeah, I think so. Do you remember? Why no? That was awesome.
Yeah, there's one part in that where like Chris Farley's like, so once you said that the love you make is equal to the love you take, do you think that's true? And Paul McCartney's just like, yeah, and in my life, it's been true, Chris. And Chris Farley's just like, awesome, bro. Yeah. But that's what it is. And that's, we talk about spirituality and God and Buddha and all that shit. But what it really is, like really, really what it really is offering. What are you offering? You could be an atheist and do it. Fine, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Is what is your offering? Because implicit in offering is a belief in interconnection, is a belief in the ways in which what we do and contribute to the world around us does come back to us. That the rivers and the forests matter, that the stardust matters, that the children in our lives matter, all that kind of stuff. What are you giving? What are you giving? What are you offering? And that could even be your suffering. You can offer your suffering, and I've done some of that on these meditation retreats where it's just been, take it, it's sitting there weeping, but it's coming out. It's like, it's this old shit that I don't need anymore that's coming out of me. And it's just, take it. I don't want this anymore. I don't want to carry it anymore. It's too heavy for me. This is my offering. You take it. God, Jesus, Buddha, whatever. Just you take it. I don't want it. And then Buddha, whoever, is happy to take it.
Yeah.
In my experience, they come in and they're just like, I mean, we were talking about Nosferatu, the other realm and stuff like that. I mean, this is some of my experience with it, but it's like, maybe it's just my own subconscious, whatever. It doesn't matter. They take it. All right, good. Okay. You're ready to let go of it. Here, you're ready to get off the treadmill. Okay, great. Take it. And they take it. And then they do whatever they do with it. Maybe go bury it somewhere or metabolize it, dissolve it into light, whatever needs to happen with it. But it's not mine. And that's my offering. Take my shit and take the karma back. I don't want it,
Right.
And that's really wonderful. And that's beautiful. So that's the offering. And that's a fucking, I'm going to start. That's my new mantra starting now, is like every morning what am I offering today? And it could be small. I feel like sort of insignificant right now because I am just sort of in this weird in between state, living back on my mom's momentarily. And it's like, but okay, fine. What can I offer within that realm? What can I offer? Can it be, I don't know, just like a pleasant conversation with my mom because she's used to living alone, as I've been in the past. It's kind of nice, having just like being able to connect with her, or I don't know, whatever. It doesn't fucking matter,
I really like this a lot, man. It's empowering, in a healthy way too. There is healthy power, and heck with it, there's more joy in giving than there is in receiving, Yeah. And I like this. I'm going to do the same. Just on a daily basis, reflecting on it. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
What can I do that's not for the self directly, but ultimately helps the self spiritually, Yeah. The macro self is healed through that sort of village offering, the giving, because so much right now is so self-centered when our current contemporary American, identities and in the larger conscious, that we're forgetting to give up to the spirit of giving, right? We're forgetting, this offering of the self.
Yeah.
And by so doing, we are forgetting who the self is and what we're making ourselves out to be.
Yeah.
Because at that point, you don't have to reflect. When there's no mirror, back to Lacan, well, then we can never self-identify, right? In the mirrors. If there's no mirror to see our reflection, well, then how are we going to realize that we are here, right? And then how can we realize this by using others, right? Through being a gift as our mirror of presence, the mirror presence, Yeah.
Hey, and and sometimes it's hard too. It's like, because what that is, what am I offering today? I mean, that's a deep practice because it's pulling us out of ourselves. It's not, what am I taking today? Like, what am I getting? What's being given to me? It's no, what am I giving? Which demands that we consider other people, nature, the things around us. So it's a really strong practice in that way. And now I'm thinking it's even a good way to consider, like, okay, do I want to do this thing with my life because I'm expecting to get something, or because it's an opportunity to offer something? It's a much different orientation.
Yes, exactly.
And actually, that just clarified a lot of shit in my head right now.
Wow. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Same. Same. That was a little key box to that whole concept that we needed to unlock there.
That was another key.
Right? Yeah. That was another key. Because I was sort of thinking too, well, then this could obviously become an unhealthy thing where, virtue signaling, whatever, I do this,
totally,
that. Yeah. And also I'm the savior complex.
None of that.
That's not what this is about at all.
Yeah.
Fundamentals, right? Nurturing authentic fundamentals, family, friendship, health, love, freaking, whatever the case, right? And even going back to such a small thing as food. I'm thinking back to sort of the chocolat episode. We've talked about food, Bourdain. I've been watching a lot of Andrew Zimmern lately. Just his old school show, Bizarre Foods,
Oh, cool.
But ultimately, a small fundamental like just eating, like sharing a meal, could bring so much joy, right?
Yeah.
Preparing a meal for somebody, watching the enjoyment, sharing it with them, talking with each other, this and that. This is a small sort of objet petit that we can really engage in, or petit, whatever, right? The small object that we can engage in to fill the void of existence.
Yeah.
And why is there even a void in the first place? I say there's a void because we create the void. We create the void through secular things, through commercialization, through capitalism, through the American ether, right?
Yeah.
This creates a void. This fragments us. This is why we're this is why we're the shattered vase, you know, Kintsugi. We need to become whole again, you know, essentially, but then become that new work of art. But the only way we can do that to stop the constant freaking asteroid hits onto our planetal structure that is us. Is by, you know, avoiding this space, freaking moving in orbit, so we can avoid some of these crazy fragments. And that's by identifying commercialization, identifying the ether, identifying the object of desire. And like you said at the beginning, fucking give up on that shit. It's not going to bring you fulfillment. And also, like you were saying, plan for the long term, right? Plan for the attainable. I'm not going to plan for, I'm going to be the president in 7 years. It's not going to happen, right? Plan for something cool. Like I'm going to, you know, get into the PhD program instead of, you know, be a doctor in 4 years, right? Or I'm going to be in a healthy place with my job, whether it's where I'm at now or whether it's someplace, right? It's sort of attainable goals. Then you're seeking and desiring for something that you can actually have, you know, go for a girl or a guy that actually likes you, go for something, you know, say to yourself, I'm going to get into a relationship. If your object, your small object of that's ruining you, that the unattainable as a person, well, fuck it. Say, I'm going to give up on that person that doesn't return my text messages 3 days later, you know, all this stuff. Freaking Gail from Taos ghosting, the ghost of Gail from Taos. And I'm going to seek, you know, freaking some beautiful girl from freaking that likes me, that returns my, you know, I'm going to find a mutual partner that feels the way I feel about them. That's attainable, you know. It's attainable if you're looking for that. If you realize, boom, I'm only go for girls that or people that don't like me back. Well, boom, then you can identify, wipe that clean, and readjust the journey. You know, a new you can always find new trailheads on the pilgrimage, even if you get lost, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think? We figured it out.
He figured it out, man. Yeah. That's it. I don't know if there's anything to even add to that. You know, it's just offerings. You know, they all different forms. You know, all different forms. It could be your presence. It could be because talking again about authentic offering versus savior complex or something like that. Definitely not that savior complex. It's. I mean, you could say no to someone as a form of offering, you know, like let's say someone wants something from you or whatever it is, and you just say no, period. Because at least one of my things is to, like, you know, people please, that sort of thing, which that's inauthentic, but like people please, reluctant to say no if I want to say no, that sort of thing, which like, it actually isn't helpful, you know, that actually isn't helpful. And then it kind of drags things along until like, maybe I say, never mind, I actually don't want to go on this path, right at the last minute or something like that. And it's like, wait, but we made all these plans or whatever. But to just say clearly and authentically, no, don't want to do that.
Right.
That's an offering. Cause then it sets, I think of things in terms of like almost like mini contracts, like on like unwritten mini contracts. Let's say someone says, hey, do you want to go get dinner tonight? You know, and you say, yeah, sure. You know, and it's like, okay, well, you just signed up for that contract, you know?
Right.
That's the contract. And then dinner comes around and then you're like, never mind. Actually, I don't, I just want to stay in tonight. what you just did was rip up the contract that you signed earlier, and that's like offensive and annoying, as opposed to just like right off the bat, just being like, no, I'm actually not going to sign that contract. And
right.
Now I'm setting you free to go do what you need to do tonight, and I'm setting myself free to go do what I need to do, you know,
right.
whatever it is.
And you know what happens is you avoid too these little micro anxiety attacks, right? Ripping up the contract. You didn't live up to your end of the contract. Boom, little micro anxiety, right?
Yeah. Just more and more clarity, just making more and more clarity along the way.
Right. And that's not to say don't sign any contracts.
No, of course not.
It's about signing the ones that are going to equal a healthy outcome, right? And oftentimes we don't know what those are. It's complicated being alive, you know. We were stardust for way longer than we were this current form, you know. So we're all just trying to figure it out. So, you know, I think this whole conversation is nice to think about too, because make mistakes, right? But when your sort of objects, whatever, the Frodo, be a Frodo, the ring, you know, but always try to be aware of when we have a ring, you know, the one ring to rule them all, or some object that is unattainable, right? Let's be real about that with ourselves. Yeah, and let's give up on those things, because it's not about giving up. Oftentimes in American society, never give up. And when, you know, Emilio Estevez freaking, you know, if you give up, you're worthless, this and that, you freaking loser, you know, fuck that. Give up on what's giving up on you. And then you'll find what you're really looking for, right? And then you'll find wholeness and peace and substance.
Yeah.
But until you can be true with yourself with that and always be aware and try to make, you know, that decision, you're always going to be running down the wrong treadmill, right? Arms shaking, about ready to die, you know, going to the wrong place, you know. But if you, it makes it simple to realize now the unattainable should be freaking, you know, just that, left to its unattainability, and find that which is material and go for it, you know, channel your ambition in a healthy way, and, you know, we'll find peace, hopefully.
Yeah. And to tie it back to Lacan, he talks about the small object, which we talked about the other week. Rumi's line about we're fishing for minnows without oh, fuck.
Ew.
It's dust in here or something. We're fishing for minnows without realizing we're standing on the back of a whale.
Right.
So the small object is the minnows. What's that thing that I think is going to fulfill me, my precious?
Yeah. Right.
That's that little ultimately insignificant thing that I'm giving all this power. But then it begs the question, well, what's the big object?
Right.
And what's the whale? And that's you. You know, it's literally just you. It's your essence. It's yourself with a capital S. It's you, you know, instead of looking for all those minnows, just realize, oh, you're good.
Right.
You got it exactly where you are. You know, it's like you did it. Good job. Just by incarnating. And this is a cool little belief in the Buddhist practice, that to become a human is such a blessing. It's so incredible that actually, in some of Buddhism has its whole like cosmology stuff. And like in that cosmology, to get to be a human, to have the good karma to be a human is really, really, really hard, and actually might even take millions of years to get to that point where it's like you've been a rock, you've been a frog, you've been a dog, you've been a tree, and it's like now you get to be a human. And what's so special about that is that we can deepen our awareness and grow as spiritual beings, you know? Right. So the Buddhists would say, like, you did it. Good job. You did it. Just by making it into the human realm, you already accomplished.
You arrived.
So much. You've already arrived.
Yeah. Which we always need to appreciate, you know, always need to reflect on too, is and really channel that history within ourselves, within our bodies, within our consciousness, you know, connect with it. And then you can find peace too in sort of an afterlife of, you know, and in your current contemporary life, right? Knowing that you were, you are, and you will be, right? You always will be. And there's a peace in that too, you know? And the one thing that will always take you away from it is something rooting or going for something that's unattainable, that's not going to bring you ultimate happiness, you know? And I want to go back just for a second, like you did to the minnows, right? The hypothesis of a lot of like 90s literature and also film and cinema was ultimately, you know, we're all going for these minnows, you know, freaking mafia or power or Wall Street, you know, Charlie Sheen, this and that, you know, women, money, Iron Man, you know, freaking selling arms dealer, you know. What did Tony Stark realize in the end? Is we're standing on the back of a well. And what is the back of the well? Well, it's all this stuff we've been talking about, man, and it's all around us. And that's the sad thing about a life lost. And the thesis to a lot of these 90s movies is you realize it's a tragedy because it's so easily attainable. It's everywhere. It is us. And we're missing it. Right. And then when you realize the object of desire, you know, that Lacan talks about, that is ruining essentially your existence, you know. Stop that shit. Freaking Tony Stark told his company he's not going to do it anymore, you know, freaking selling arms. And you go over to something that's healthy and righteous. You start dating freaking, you know, can't remember what his assistant is name.
Oh yeah, what's her name?
Yeah. Damn it, this is gonna ruin me.
She has like a funny name, like something like
like Piper or something.
Piper, like that. Yeah, was it Piper? Yeah, whatever.
Oh, this is gonna bother me. But anyway, I'm gonna be listening to this episode later and be like, God damn it. Poppy, maybe it's Poppy.
Oh no, was it?
In any event, it's about identifying where you okay, here's another movie, Liar Liar, right? With Jim Carrey, you know, he's so caught up in secular, making money and being a lawyer, the best lawyer.
Yeah, it's like every 90s movie.
Yeah, like every 90s movie, right? And what's the thesis is he realizes, fuck, gave up on my ex and my kid. I'm a bad dad. I'm on the back of a well already. I have a son. I have people that love me. Fuck this job and this crazy ambition for money and power. And you know, we come back to the family. We come back to the village. We can restore our existence, you know, back to happiness. And I think let's ride that well. Let's realize we're on the best place to be in this vast and oftentimes scary ocean that we live in, right?
On behalf of the Jareds, thank you for listening. Follow, rate, and tell your friends. The Jareds will be back next time, and always remember, it is the strongest spirit that wins, not the most expensive sword. Have a great week.